afternoon, everybody. I am sorry I have been such a slacker with all of this lately. I totally missed Friday's video, and that was on me. Things were just crazy in the Edwards-Bova house, and I didn't have an opportunity to get around to it. So that's on me. That's my bad. You can dole out my punishment as suited later, but we're here. We're back. It's Monday, and it's like before 10 p.m. on a Monday, so I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. Not much happened on our weekend. We made a nice little sign to put outside on our front porch. It's super nerdy. It says, "Think like a proton, stay positive." But we thought it might make neighbors smile, so we'll see how that goes. And then I did my best to attempt to make, we had to go grocery shopping today, and so we needed face masks. So I did my best to make a face mask, and it didn't go super great. I don't know how to sew well, and I don't own a sewing machine, so this is made out of a piece of old clothing and fabric glue and some elastic that I cut off of another article of clothing. But it does have little T-Rexes on it, which is pretty cute, and I look super duper stylish in it. This is the new COVID fashion, baby. Yeah. Actually, it's obnoxious. I was walking around the grocery store for like an hour today, just getting everything we needed, and there comes a certain time when you get tired of breathing in your own breath. So, doctors, nurses, healthcare workers who wear these all the time, good for you. And luckily, I have a very talented seamstress friend who is making a couple of face masks for the family. And she's going to send them to us. Just made me Zelda ones. I'm really excited. I finished Zelda Link's Awakening yesterday on Nintendo Switch, so clearly I'm making really good use of my time. But yeah, hope you're all well. Today's fact of the day is actually going to be about whale sharks. So for those of you who haven't seen Finding Dory, whale sharks are kind of the best of both worlds because they are super, super gentle, but they're also just enormous, which makes them really big business, for swimming in places like Cancun and things like that. But that's beside the point. The real interesting fact is that a study was recently published just this year that suggests we can now guesstimate how long whale sharks can live because of nuclear weapons. So here's the story behind that. Back in the Cold War, over the span of a couple of decades, the United States and a few other countries tested a number of atomic bombs up in the air over the oceans. You might remember a couple of documentaries on the subject. There's some all over Netflix if you are bored silly and are looking for something to watch. But that was kind of just the go-to area for testing nukes, was over the ocean. Because of those detonations over the ocean, a bunch of isotopes called carbon-14 were released into the atmosphere. And while carbon-14 is already a naturally occurring thing in the environment, the extra burst of it just kind of got into everything. One of the uses of carbon-14 is to help determine how old fossils and things like that are, using the half-life model of the carbon-14 and calculating it down. So it's a super handy thing. I do anthropology, I do archaeology, and so carbon-14 dating is something that I am very familiar with, but it is very interesting to study if you haven't, or if you have the time. But what scientists recently discovered was that this huge spike of carbon-14 somehow got into the vertebra of whale sharks. Now, I'm not necessarily saying this is specific to whale sharks. It could be that there are a number of long-living sea creatures that have similar things, but whale sharks just happen to be the center of the study. So got into the vertebra of whale sharks, and those vertebrae actually have kind of a ring-like buildup, just like you would see in trees. So if, for example, there was a massive forest fire and a tree survived it, in that tree's rings, you might see normal rings, normal rings, normal rings, a blackened ring from the year that the forest fire happened, and then normal rings, normal rings, normal rings. Similarly, in the buildup of bone within these whale shark vertebrae, you see normal rings, normal rings, normal rings, a ton of carbon-14, normal rings, normal rings, normal rings. The thing is that scientists really aren't in any kind of full agreement as to how long it takes each of these rings to form. So in trees, we know that it's approximately a year, but it's anybody's guess what it is for a whale shark. It could be 6 months, it could be a year. They aren't really sure, but by locating where in the whale shark vertebra that spike in carbon-14 really occurred, scientists have been able to figure out with much better accuracy how long that whale shark had actually been alive. So the one trick was getting access to vertebra for study. They're actually an endangered species, so they're not exactly just going to go out and hunt a whale shark or remove a vertebra from a living whale shark just to take a look and see. That would be stupid. But they did find a couple of specimens that were dead in Pakistan and Taiwan, I think, and scientists were able to use the vertebra from those to study. And based on the examination of the rings and using the carbon-14 isotopes, they were able to guess that whale sharks can live to be between 100 and 150 years old, which is really freaking cool. 100 years ago was World War I, so that means that theoretically there are whale sharks out there who lived through multiple major wars without atomic bombs, before atomic bombs even came around. So, they've probably seen some. Anyway, it's a little tidbit, but I thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. I've got a couple of good ones in for the week, but again, if you guys have any suggestions or anything you'd like to see, just let me know. Hope you're good. See you tomorrow.